If the circumstances are right, there is a window right now where you can do a double Roth IRA contribution. And yeah, if it makes sense for you, you have to take advantage of it. I'll explain that more coming up. There's 6 areas to your financial life, to my financial life, to everyone's financial life. The Certified Financial Planning Board came up with this. This isn't our idea. We just help people with it. We call it comprehensive financial planning. In short, we call it one plan, because these 6 areas of your financial life, many people treat them as separate and distinct areas. They don't overlap. They don't integrate with each other. They often have competing goals. And no. The truth is that these areas very much overlap, and you need to look at them in together, how they overlap, so that as you make financial decisions, you're bringing synergy to as many of them as possible. Having dollars grow outside of retirement accounts. So individual accounts, joint accounts, a trust account, something like that. Having dollars grow outside in these taxable accounts when you're not maxing out the tax shelters that are available to you aren't necessarily a problem, but it could be a sign that the 6 areas of your financial life aren't as integrated as they should be. Oftentimes when we're getting started with new financial planning clients, they come in and we're talking about goals, we're talking about aspirations, we're talking about financial fears, and then weaving around to, all right, well, let's talk through your financial situation today. How much do you have in cash? How much do you have in investments, and so on? And as we get into those details, it's very common to find out, yeah, they're contributing 10% to their 401k, and they've got some other dollars over here. They've got an IRA from some old 401ks. And then it's very common to find, well, an individual account or a joint account with some money in it, either because they had some extra money at one point that they started setting aside and investing. Maybe it was some inherited dollars or something where they've got some dollars that are sort of just disconnected. They're invested, but disconnected. Well, that provides a ripe opportunity to get those dollars tucked into the right tax shelter to improve your tax picture and help you build more wealth with those dollars in the long term. Right now, at the time I'm recording this video, the tax season has just started for 2026 for the 2025 taxes, and we are in this window. Comes up every single year between 1/1 and April 15, the tax filing deadline, where you have an opportunity to make a contribution for last year's taxes. Yes, for your IRA, yes, for your HSA if you're eligible, but yes, for the Roth IRA. And this is where it's very, very, very potent for you to get some dollars that maybe are out in no man's land in your financial life and get them tucked into a tax sheltered and growing tax-free for your financial future. You guys know I love the Roth IRA. These are dollars that as you contribute, it's after tax. You do not get a tax deduction today. You could get a retirement savers tax credit if you qualify. It's my favorite tax credit, and I've done a lot of content on that. But for most of us, there's no tax benefit for contributing to the Roth. The tax benefit comes every single day thereafter, because all of the dividends and growth and interest within that Roth IRA, it's all sheltered from tax. It doesn't impact your tax return. And then when you withdraw those dollars out there in the future, as long as you've had a Roth IRA for 5 years, doesn't need to be that Roth IRA, doesn't even need to be 5 consecutive years, just any Roth IRA for 5 years, and you're age 59 and a half or older, then all of that growth from that Roth comes out tax-free. If you leave the Roth IRA to a loved one, to a beneficiary when you pass away, they also withdraw those dollars tax-free if you meet those conditions. So very, very, very versatile tool in your finances. And again, if you maybe didn't have your financial life integrated, and maybe there was a season when you didn't think you could fund a Roth, or maybe you weren't able to fund a Roth. Maybe right now we get this question a lot. I feel like I'm too old to fund a Roth IRA. No way. No way. As long as you've got income and your adjusted gross income is below certain limits, you want to take advantage of this. And right now, in this window, you can make a contribution for tax year 2025 as well as tax year 2026. So in 2025, again, you've got to have earned income, and your income needs to be below certain thresholds in order to be eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. If you've got some dollars growing sort of outside of your tax shelters and you're eligible to contribute to the Roth, getting those dollars into the Roth during this unique time period where you can do a double contribution critically important and can help you sort of slingshot you in towards that tax planning. So here's what you would do. For 2025, that Roth IRA contribution limit is $7,000 per person. If you're age 50 or older, it's $8,000. And then for 2026, it's a little bit more than that, $7,500 for everyone and $8,500 if you're age 50 or older. So say you're not age 50 and you've got some dollars that were growing outside of a tax shelter, you can make a $7,000 contribution and a $7,500 contribution at the exact same time. So $14,500. You just got to make sure that the $7,000 is coded as a 2025 contribution and the $7,500 is coded as a 2026 contribution. And all of a sudden, as of the date that you do that, those dollars are then growing tax sheltered and potentially tax-free, again, if you meet that 5-year rule in 59 and a half. If you're married, just double those numbers, right? $14,500 for you, $14,500 for your spouse, $29,000 you can get into tax shelters right now, and that's not even if you're age 50 or older. Now, I mentioned at the onset of this, if the circumstances are right. Not everyone has this much in resources lying around. Also, you've got to make sure you're eligible to contribute to the Roth. So what are some ripe opportunities where the circumstances might be right? Well, I mentioned one, and it could just be, well, maybe in the past, or maybe you weren't able to fund a Roth IRA, maybe you didn't know that you could or whatever, and you had some extra dollars growing in a taxable account. Yeah, those are dollars that you'll want to check your capital gains, and you'll want to make sure it's long-term capital gains. You want to look at that, but those are dollars where the opportunity is ripe to say, well, should we sell some of those and filter those in, use those resources, proceeds as contributions to the Roth? That's one strategy. We do that a lot for folks. Oftentimes it can be connected to a second strategy, and that is, well, I inherited some dollars. My folks passed away, something like that, and I inherited some dollars and they're now growing in this taxable account, or I received the proceeds from selling my folks' house when they passed away, something like that. Now these dollars are just sitting in an account. Well, double contribution to the Roth IRA, pulling $14,500 and contributing it to the Roth right now for 25 and 26, doing that with some inheritance dollars, that can make a lot of sense. And then a third time when circumstances are right is you sell your own asset. Maybe you've got a rental property. Maybe you just moved and downsized, and that's probably not very practical for a lot of people. But if you had a second home, something like that, you sold an asset, and all of a sudden you've got some additional resources at your disposal, and say, well, where should we direct these dollars? They're really for long term. What should we do with them? Taking advantage of this double contribution window with the Roth IRA. Does that make sense in your financial situation? You've got to look at all 6 areas of your financial life. Why? Because present financial position, your cash flow, and how your assets are structured. Yep, that certainly matters. Tax planning, that's where a lot of this is housed. Are you even eligible to contribute to a Roth? What are the most important tax shelter strategies for you? How do you have your investment structured? That's the 4th area of financial planning. Your retirement plan needs to be factored, as well as your estate planning. This decision alone, really this opportunity, touches 5 of the 6 areas of your financial life. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.